Hi, my name is Marie McAndrew, and I'm Director of Customer Support for Monmouth Ocean Regional Realtors. Today, I have the pleasure of being with Louisa Sagarese, who is the chairperson of our Education Committee. Louisa's been kind enough to take time out of her busy schedule to come and speak to us about escalation clauses.
Well,
Hi,
thank you,
Louisa.
Marie. Thank you.
So good to be with you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you also and to come here and visit. Thank you so
Yes.
much for inviting me.
So I just have some questions for you.
Sure.
We here in support at Monmouth Ocean Regional Realtors have received many questions regarding escalation clauses. Would you mind answering a few questions?
No. Perfect.
Thank you. Let's start off with, what is an escalation clause, Louisa?
Okay, so escalation clause. So let's think of the word escalation, right? What does escalation mean? It means
Yes.
to go up. So an escalation clause is language that automatically increases your purchase price by a certain amount above all other offers, okay? And until that offer reaches the maximum price that a buyer wants to pay for the property.
Okay.
So it's an increase in the offer,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Go ahead, do you want me, because I have a habit of talking a lot, so you may want to ask me a question before I go on and on.
I could listen to you talk all day. I always learn something, Louisa. But my next question is, all offers are to be presented, but does an owner have the right or the ability to say, I do not want to consider offers with escalation clauses?
Yes, they absolutely can. An agent, I'm referring to a listing agent now,
Yes.
at time of listing should have this conversation with the seller. They should explain to a seller what an escalation clause is, especially given the type of market that we're in right now, where we're experiencing multiple offers over asking price.
Absolutely.
So have that conversation with your seller and say, this is what was probably going to happen. We're going to get a ton of offers, and some agents may have this escalation clause.
Right.
And, are you willing to accept an escalation clause? I have seen some listings written right on agent notes where the seller does not want to accept an escalation
Yes.
clause. I've seen that.
Right. Now, if a seller does not want to have an escalation clause offer presented to them, does the agent have to have something in writing from them?
So my advice always is to everyone is that whatever the seller requests is, yes, to get something in writing, even if you just get an email from the seller, if it's in the form of a text message, but always have something to document your conversation with that seller. Again, this is just my opinion. You always want to check with your broker or manager
Absolutely, your broker.
on what
Yeah.
your office policy is pertaining to escalation clause, if you even, have done escalation clauses in your office. I mean, I'm not here today to tell you have to use an escalation clause, but I just want to make you aware of what an escalation clause, so you kind of have that in your bag where it could help
Could be a
you,
tool that could help you.
right, help you get an offer accepted.
Now, do you use escalation clauses, Louisa?
I have used escalation clauses many times, and it has been very successful for me in getting my offer accepted.
Wow, okay.
So I do like escalation clauses. There's a lot of if you interview, let's say, 20 different agents, everybody will have a different opinion of an escalation
Yeah.
clause. But for me, it's worked,
Mm-hmm.
and I will continue using it as long as the seller is willing to allow an escalation clause.
What if I was going to purchase a home, and let's just say it's going to be waterfront, just so you know, hopefully near your home.
Okay.
Okay.
We could be neighbors.
Right, and the
Okay.
home purchase price was $800,000.
Mhm.
How would you apply an escalation clause with that?
Okay, so let's say a house is listed for $800,000.
Right,
But you and I have a conversation that you're willing to pay up to $850,000 for this house, okay? So I now know that there's other offers in it, because
Right.
normally the agent puts in agent notes, multiple offers, whatever highest the best buy, that's how I would know. So I would say, Marie, why don't we try going in at, let's say, I don't know, 8.25, 830. Let's make it an even number. We're gonna go at 830. But you're willing to go up to 850, right? So we're gonna have two components to this escalation clause. The highest price you're willing to pay, the max price, which is gonna be 850.
right.
And then that factor is the number of how much more higher you're willing to go than the current offers on the table. I usually recommend anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000, depending on the amount of the house. I just don't think that if you're dealing with an $800,000 house, that if you say, okay, I'll go $1,000 over
Right.
the best, I don't think that's enough consideration for a
It's
seller.
relevant to the sale
Yeah,
price, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough to make the seller say, okay, I'm gonna take this offer because it's $1,000 more. You wanna be strong, you wanna make it worth the seller's while to accept your offer. So we go in at 8:30, and let's say there's an offer for 8:35 on the table. Now, the agent will come back to me and say, okay, we're gonna have to, you have the escalation clause, you're gonna have to go up. So let's just say the highest offer was 8:35, and that agent has to show me some type of proof that they had an offer for 8:35.
All right.
If we've used that $2,500 factor, your offer automatically increases to 837,500.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
Yes.
again, there's a lot of mixed feelings on escalation clauses. I just think it's just something that could help us get an offer accepted in this crazy
In
market.
this crazy market,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I have a sample one I use. It's a very simple one that I like using. It just states, what is the highest you're willing to pay and what's the factor. So it's a pretty simple form. So, and I have you sign it as the buyer, and then the seller will sign it, if he accepts it.
That's great,
And it becomes part of the well, then we change the contract. I will change the contract to,
to reflect
yes,
that.
the new price, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Louisa, thank you so much for taking the time. It's always great to talk to you.
Oh.
I'm sure we'll speak to you in the future about some other questions that we find
Yes, we
here.
will.
And thank you all for taking the time to view this video. And please don't forget, we are here to help you sell more. Serve, educate, legislate, and listen. Have a great day.